to start with all of this. Hey YouTube, nobody slash DDR guy 300 here again to comment again on the War of the Spark Mythic Edition. Um, First things first, I was wrong in my speculation that they'd probably print uh, to demand the Mythic Edition only to the point to where people who had ordered them actually get them, and that it's beyond 4 o'clock yesterday is sold out. Um, I was wrong about that. Apparently, they issued uh, early in the AM today that nope, it's only the 12,000 after their little investigation tweet that no, it's only the 12,000 that are being sold, and that's it. So we're going to be divvying out refunds, and now about 7 p.m. Eastern, the maybe not 7 p.m. Just late afternoon, early evening, the refunds are starting to get divvied out, and they've released this tweet here, 2 tweets, whatever, regarding the Mythic Edition. Update. Your experience yesterday wasn't what we wanted. More on that later. And we're working with eBay to make sure you're treated well. Yeah, right. Number 2, eBay is sending emails starting today confirming if your order was among the first 12,000 available units or if your order is being canceled and refunded. Please keep an eye on your inboxes for future updates. Okay. First of all, Wizard is run by complete morons. Um, Rudy's called it the ivory tower effect. From Alpha Investments, Rudy has called it the ivory tower effect before, or he's mentioned the ivory tower, and I guess I'm just coining ivory tower effect, although I'm sure someone else has already, where this is such a prime example. This is like Diablo Immortal being announced at a convention, whatever con it was that it was announced, where they were really excited, to announce that mobile game, and didn't understand why people were upset because everyone has phones, and this is just another prime example of that, to where it's like you're so blind to your own practices and your own product that you couldn't see this coming. You put Jace the Mind Sculptor in this. You could have put Jace the Mind Sculptor in this product and had that be the only, literally the only Mythic Edition, full art promo in it, and it still would have sold out. But no, you have also Ugin in it, the new Nicobolas, and 5 other cards, whatever. The fact that Wizards did not see this coming is just another one of those instances that it's completely beyond me. It's like, what do you do? What do you do up there in the ivory tower? What do you think about? What are the meetings? Is it really just to decide what to get from Panera Bread, or do you actually discuss business? Because it sounds like you probably screw up whatever order you get for lunch too, like daily. Because whatever, the fact that they couldn't see this as a problem and anticipate the demand and have more than even 20,000 available. The fact that they couldn't do that there's absolutely no excuse. They're a crap company with crap brains, and oh man, this is the best example we've had of this so far. Um, let's see. Let's get into this. Your experience. What wasn't? Yeah, your experience yesterday wasn't what we wanted. Well, I guess I already kind of touched on that. You should have been able to figure out that they should have been able to figure out that this was going to be the end user experience, and they didn't because they're idiots. So moving on from that, the next segment, uh, working with eBay to make sure you're treated well. Here's how you treat people well when you enter the phase 1 of that horrible, no idea what you were doing, let's only print 12,000 Jaces and Ugins debacle. Here's how you treat people well when you encounter that first phase of, uh-oh, we effed up. You take the people that were all successful in buying an order in that first 5 minutes before that 11,995 got sold, and you honor the ones that have already gone through. Tax was taken out or not. If you gotta request tax, do that. Um, and then you also go back and you tell everyone whose orders, which I've seen so many stories of this, which is just, it seems so disproportionate. It's like, what the heck was happening to where people's orders were just being auto canceled? Um, but you go back and you know message them, or you try and you could force those transactions to go through after they had been canceled, and you might have had one person complain out of all the people that were canceled. You know, save the manpower of sending out messages saying, "Hey, do you still want this product?" But that's beside the point. Um, that's the way you do it. You honor what's already gone through, and you message back to people that were forcefully canceled in those first 12,000. Uh, would you still like the product? And you'll have a nice little reset button. Yes, it still would have been a debacle because it would have been sold out in 5 minutes, and that was it. And there'd still be a crap. There'd be such a low amount of supply in the supply chain. You'd still have that to worry about, but that'd still be at least 3 times to 5 times better what's going on right now, because now you have. You see, here's what I want to know. I want to know if you only had 12,000 units ready for print, and that was it. Period. And you weren't lying to us, and you had like 30,000 or whatever ready for print. You know, let's assume that it is what they said. There's only 12,000 ready for print. What monkey pulling what lever allowed for a relisting of these items via Hasbro's eBay page? Like, and it happened so quickly. It's like someone down the chain of command was already told to be ready to relist these should they sell out. And then they did. And 5 minutes later, they're back up. You know, someone was told somewhere to do that. And I want to know who, and I want to know why. Because 75% of all of these shenanigans could have been avoided if that hadn't happened. You know, yes, you've got the issue of, what are you doing, Hasbro? You're supposed to be, you know, a legitimate business. You've got PayPal blocks from getting crap tons of money all at once. Tax isn't being charged. You know, you could handle that, you know, post-apocalyptic event of what in the heck just happened. Let's figure it out. Of, you know, those 12,000 orders that are, you know, the select few that actually went through, those that got canceled, however many, you know, orders down the road, you know, 5, 10 minutes later, who the heck knows when they got canceled in the first 12,000 wave. And you could have handled that. But instead, and it would have been terrible. It would have been a nightmare. Well, less of a nightmare than this, but it would have been a nightmare to deal with, because you'd have to figure out who bought it, ask them if they still want it, process it. It's already going to be an issue. But now, since someone somewhere decided to give the order to relist these items that didn't exist, it's just 1,000 times worse now. And I know that number doesn't match with the previous number I said, but it is many a factor worse now. And this idea of treating people, customers well is absolutely laughable. And you know, I've already gotten, of the 14 boxes that I, you know, ordered, quote unquote, I've already got a one order of two that's been canceled. I'm waiting on the others. I fully expect, just based on kind of my gut feeling, I fully expect to get 0 to 2. that's that's exactly what I expect to happen, because you know, I know for a fact there's one order that made it in the initial wave that had tax taken out, that was paid, that says is still paid, that's good to go. But who knows? Who the heck knows what their criteria is for making refunds? it could wind up that that one also gets refunded for no real reason. This could be a complete lottery, and they aren't telling us, how they're going about doing it. But anyways, that's what's happening with me. I wanted to wait because I wanted to get my actual emotional reaction based on how many I'm going to wind up getting and not, but I also didn't want to wait because, it's news now, so why not get it out there? Um, and this is, yeah, just this idea that you'll be treated right, with an email, and that's our criteria for treating people right is laughable beyond all belief. And the fact, you know, not only does Wizards of the Coast not have any idea what they're doing or have any awareness of their product other than. See, that's the problem with the big companies, that they really need to learn from this repeated mistake that they all seem to make, and like have some kind of chair or person they hire whose job it is to look out for this kind of dysfunction, the dysfunction that arises when the only metric that's being looked at are literally sales numbers. Because these giant corporations, if that's their only metric, they're going to behave in a way that's centered around that metric. And yes, there's just the idea of voting with your wallet, but the fact that that's the only metric they go off of gives them this, I guess you'd call it like a blind force forward with, it's like a horse with blinders on, where there's no awareness whatsoever for the collateral damage they're, let's say, scooping up with them in their wake, in their pursuit for said profit. And the collateral damage in this instance is all of the people, all of your fans, all of your customers who you've damaged emotionally because of everything that's happening. When they see those orders canceled, when they see this heartbreaking news of really there's only 12,000 being printed, because here's what's happening. It's what I said in my, not the last video, but the one before it, about what really happened with War of the Spark. Go check it out if you want. Most of the information's still good, a little bit less than the last video I did, but what they've, I don't even know where I was with that, but so yeah, the emotional damage that you're doing to your customers and your, loyal fans and the people who really want to enjoy your product by telling them there's only going to be 12,000 in existence when 50,000 some odd people just tried within that hour 45-minute ish window to get what they could. There's now these boxes. There's no way these boxes aren't going to hit $1,000, if not more, now, because they're actually only 12,000, and they went instantaneously. And you're breaking the hearts of the people who support your company and make sure you have a paycheck and food to put on your family's table, because now what they were hoping to get before, you have then separated, instead of a $250 price tag, you've now upped that $1,000 for them to be able to get to what it is they want. And that's really problematic of you to do. And I saw this response tweet somewhere in here about they use this phrase, making them whole again, making their community whole again. And it's funny because that is not an understatement at all. The amount of damage that this causes the community is tantamount to having that kind of phrase in the conversation of making the community whole again and making people whole again, because that much collateral damage is what has happened. To bring the conversation full circle now, that kind of collateral damage is what has happened in their wake of the pursuit of money and having that be the only metric, seeing what sales are here, here, and here, and that's it. Okay? And the part of that statement that's humorous is the fact that at the end of the day, legally, they don't have to care. They don't have to give two shits about you, your struggle, what you went through, what you now are going to be denied, based on this only 12,000 print run. If you took a day off work just to make sure you got the thing, you got it, but it was forcefully canceled and it was the first 12,000. I see so many tweets by people that had the same thing happen to two of my orders, which was they had it in the first checkout of the first 12,000. Payment was processing, then it gets forcefully canceled, minutes later. And then they go back in the second round, order it successfully, and now we're just waiting to see on if it goes through or not. And like I said, at the end of the day, they don't have to give a crap about you, because at the end of the day, legally, all they have to do is return your money, and it's like a no questions asked thing, but the other way around. Instead of you returning, they returning. Um, and it's sad. It's really sad that that's really all they have to do, because we live in a business culture now where, again, it's the idea of, the cash flow, the money, the profit being the only measurable metric that they use. That's probably redundant, but whatever. The only metric they use to decide if they're going in the right direction or not going in the right direction. And so many companies in so many areas screw up along the way and harm the people that support them and that love their product, either without knowing it or without caring. And it's inexcusable, and it's at this point you have to take a stand and say, fuck this, I'm done. And you just take the steps to not be a part of the culture anymore, and to not support the company that it is that's screwing you over time and time again. Whether it's, um, finding a system to where you're just still enjoying the product, but you're literally not shelling out any money for them, so you're just giving them the nice passive middle finger, um, because people are still going to buy it. Again, it's the idea of the only metric being how much money's being taken in, and is it enough to keep sustaining everything? Yes. All right. We'll keep printing Mythic editions, and that's the other thing. They need to stop printing these. They need, and here's why. Let's say they actually, the next Mythic edition around, they actually think about what it is they're doing. Let's say, what's a good example? Let's say they come out with a Mythic edition next time where it's Liliana of the Veil. Okay, that's the big chase card. It's the Jace of the next Mythic edition. And let's say the rest of the Planeswalkers are they're just utter trash. Let's say they're all, the second Mythic edition prints, whatever Ravnica that was. It's not guilds. It was something else. Um, but let's say all of them are that level of Planeswalker print. So it's one good Planeswalker, and the rest are total trash, and no one's going to care about them. Okay. Let's say they sit down and they actually realize, okay, it's going to be very, very, very similar to the Jace printing. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to have 30,000 prints. Okay, not just 12, because it's Liliana. Everyone's going to want Liliana, right? Say, so they're going to do 30,000 prints. See, here's what's going to happen. Even to whatever measures they take to make the next one launch better, it's not going to be enough. Whatever measures they do, it's not going to be enough, because what this event, what's transpiring right now with here's your forced refund. We're treating you right by letting you know before we bend you over that you're about to take something very unpleasant. It being information that your order's been canceled, and if you still want this product, be prepared to shell out $1,000 more in a couple weeks on the secondary market, or just be in general sad that you can no longer afford it, get your hands on it, whatever, what have you. Um, and it's because they, shoot, lost my train of thought. I got it back now though. Whatever it is they do in the next run to make the next run better, it's not going to be enough, because what this event has shown everyone that only got one or two for themselves, and that's it. That's all they were hoping for. That's all they wanted, and weren't trying to buy en masse. What this event is telling them is, shit, Next time, I have to have friends and family be helping me out, get them money beforehand, and have them all have a plan in place to where, let's say you got 5 other people helping you. Get a plan in place to where instead of 5 or 10 people even, get a plan in place to where instead of planning on getting 2 to 4 instead of planning on getting, one order of 2 of these mythic editions, plan on having everyone help you at the exact time that you need it so you can put in, 5 orders of 2 boxes each so that you stand a good chance that when the dice is rolled of however the next rollout F up happens, that there's a chance that one of those orders doesn't get canceled and you get what you want. And that's going to cause so many more of these products to sell out quicker than it even did this time. So I foresee an even worse debacle the next time, unless they just stop this and start putting these full art planeswalkers in packs like a masterpiece series. Because that's the thing. That's all you have to do to prevent this from happening again. Learn from your mistakes, and what the mistake should teach you this time is just put this direct to consumer. You're only making $3 million plus whatever your cost is. I'm assuming this number is correct. I heard it somewhere, so I'm just going to keep spouting it out. But whatever the math is, at the end of selling 12,000 units, whatever it is that you make, you're only making it once every, I guess, 3 months now, because they're coming out every 3 months, I suppose now. You're only making that every 3 months. That's $1 million a month. It's 12 million in a year. Maybe don't do that very limited, very detrimental to your community and to the industry rollout, and instead enact changes that make your product better from the ground up, so that since you'd be negating that direct to consumer ploy and cutting out, the distributors and the LGS stores, or redundant, but local game stores, cutting out them, cutting out the distributors, and not taking that direct from consumer money that we're entering an age where everyone knows that's where the money is. If you've ever seen a handful of episodes of Shark Tank, and Magic is doing the same thing now, you know accept that that's maybe not the way to go, and instead make changes from the ground up that's going to make your company as successful and have that 12 million a year more put into your coffers in a different way. And the way you do that is a masterpiece series, because if you put these kind of masterpiece cards in the various sets and you just have full art planeswalkers, it doesn't even have to be a part of the set. In this example, you could have put Jace the Mind Sculptor in, War of the Spark as a full art, and it just would have, he's not in the set, but his masterpiece is. So, it would be no problem. And you enact changes that make your base sales stronger so you can afford to not depend on that 12 million extra a year you're trying to get from these botched Mythic Edition rollouts. And I have a feeling that they're not going to do it, but I always have a feeling that the right move is never what's going to happen, because it takes, a brain, and it's something that clearly Wizards of the Coast lacks, and again is just another company that we can see. That's the message here. That's the end game message that this entire debacle that's the message that's being projected from Wizards to the community from this entire debacle, is that they really don't care if there's more of a I don't know of a better example where there's more evidence that they don't give a crap about you than right now. There's no better example of them only looking at one metric and one metric only to see if they're doing well or not well. Because even now, it's you just sold 3 million in product. Someone somewhere is thinking, oh yeah, this was great because they just got $3 million. But and I'm sure it's someone high up in the ivory tower, because it's so completely removed from what's actually happened. All you see is that 3 million that's in there, and there are no other consequences to it other than whatever person you've got on retainer to go out and handle this big fiasco, to be your representative, your PR person, to handle everything and to make these tweets that say, we're going to make sure people are treated right, and our extent of treating people right is here's a message letting you know if you're getting it or not getting it, it being the box or whatever else you want to think of. And it's just it's wizards saying that they're a company that doesn't care about you, that doesn't care about the collateral damage that they create because of their poor practices and low IQ scores, and that's just it. And they need to be really making some um, very thoughtful and fleshed out changes moving forward, or they're gonna continue to have people like you and me that are just pissed off over the situation, and your community is gonna degrade from the ground up, and you're eventually gonna create your own demise. That's all I got for this one. DDR guy out.